Hey guys, it's Lauren Yeates from Rave It Up here, and I'm privileged to be here today with Barry DuBois, who you may know from a Channel 10 TV show, The Living Room.
Thank you,
Hi
Lauren.
Barry, how are you going today?
Very well.
Oh, good. And thank you for coming out today.
It's beautiful, why not?
Yeah, it was quite a rushed organisation, but I'm really glad you're here.
Yeah.
So welcome to Rave It Up.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to have you. Now, before we talk about all your achievements, let's get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
And I think we should start from the beginning because that only makes sense to you,
That's
right?
a hell of a long time ago. You be careful.
Let's see how good your memory is.
Yeah.
We'd love to know, how did you get started in the industry?
Okay, so we're only going back about 5 years then. 'Cause
Okay, then.
My life is 55 years old,
Yes.
but my life on TV
I want to
is
know since birth. No,
only
not that
about
far.
5. How did I get on?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I retired when I was 45. I was a reasonably successful designer, property developer and builder. I'll be honest with you and say this, I was doing really well financially, but there were a few hiccups in the road. My mum passed away, which was pretty
Sorry
tough
to
for
hear
me.
that.
That's okay. That was tough for me. And my wife and I were struggling to have children. And then I'm a businessman, and I could read pretty clearly, this is in 2004, that the boom that we were sort of in had to crash. I didn't believe that was sustainable, as I don't believe it is now either. I got a little depressed, and when you get depressed, you don't go from being happy to depressed in one day. In fact, some of the days when you're depressed, you're still happy. But it took me about a year, 2 years, and I sort of wound down to, after I lost my mum and stuff, to a pretty depressed state. And I said to my dad, this market can't stay the way it is. I've done really well out of life. I think the market's gonna crash, so I'm gonna sell everything I've got and I'm gonna retire. I'd amassed a decent amount of money, and I said, I don't want to wait around till you're dying before we start hanging out together.
Yes.
Because that's what happened with Mum, and that broke my heart, and still breaks my heart.
Family first.
Yeah, that's it. So I sold up everything except for a couple of properties. The one I lived in, of course, and another one, and I brought a big yacht in the Mediterranean.
Oh,
and,
lovely!
Yeah, and my plan was to sail around the world. When you're in a depressed state, you search for memories, and my best memories are of my childhood. And my brother and I lived not far from here at Liverpool on the Georges River, and we used to make houseboats and rafts and stuff. And we always said when we're older, we'll sail around the world together. I didn't want to do that on a houseboat or a raft,
Yeah.
and I had the means to buy a yacht. So I took my dad to Paris, France. We went to the 2006 boat show in Paris. And we commissioned my yacht, Bellassoni, is the name of my yacht.
That's a lovely name.
Yeah, it means beautiful dreamer in Italian,
that's
or a rough
beautiful.
translation, because it was a dream. And my wife, Leonie, was incredibly supportive. She knew I was struggling with depression, and she knew I had to do whatever it took to get me out of that. And as I say, as depressed as I was at times, it was a great journey. And my dad and I had 3 amazing seasons on that boat together. I would spend 6 months of the year on the yacht and 6 months of the year back in Australia, because the 2 different hemispheres, I spent summer.
Yeah.
But I also have a really close mate called Peter Cahoon, and he's on Better Homes and Gardens.
Oh, yeah.
And he's also got a great show called Great Australian Sandcastles, or Australian Sandcastles, something like that. And he's an architect. Both Pete and I are very passionate about architecture, and he's a great guy to travel with. So Leonie would come over to the yacht for a couple of months of the year. Dad would be on the boat for a couple of months of the year, and Pete would always try and jump on in the beginning or the end. And he is a guy from the eastern suburbs of Sydney, and he always was intrigued by my life, that I could grow up at the back of Liverpool. I wasn't good at reading and writing, and I was reasonably street smart though. And
That's what you need.
I'd done really well financially, and I seemed to have a good philosophy on life as far as he was concerned. So he always said, Baz, you should be on telly. This story should be on telly. I said, I'm not interested in telly. It's just not what I want to do. I want to discover and help people if I can. So then that happened for a couple of years, and then I think it was about 2010 or 11. Pete got asked to cast for the show The Renovators, He was never going to do that show. But so what he did, and
But he thought of you.
He thought of me.
Yeah.
So he did what we call a sizzle reel. And in that sizzle reel, he put a lot of footage of him and I together on my yacht and in places like the Carthage in North Africa and Palermo and Sicily and stuff like that, where he by chance, I think he'd always planned this, but he'd ask me questions and I'd answer him. And anyway, long story short, a very powerful guy on TV by the name of Carl Fantasy saw that sizzle reel and said, I don't know about the architect guy, but that big builder guy is perfect for the renovators, and I want him for the renovators.
Oh, it's meant to be.
Meant to be. So
Yeah.
you wouldn't believe it. They rang me a couple of times. I kept saying no, but there was something quite profound happened in my life, which I'm sure you're going to want to talk about. But when I discovered that, they rang me once more, and I said, listen, if you ring me back in 6 months and I'm still here, yeah, I'll do it. And they rang me back 6 months later, and I was on the following year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I think
I believe that.
you were just totally meant to do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think, I think we're all meant to do what we do. It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It eventually comes to you.
Yeah.
And they rang several times, so there you go.
They rang me 5 times all up. It was the 5th time.
Jeez.
Interestingly enough,
Very persistent.
I'll go to it now. Well, Carl's a very powerful guy, and Paul Franklin was the producer, the EP of that show. Judy Smart was the EP of that show, and they really liked the footage they saw. And I think the fact that I didn't want to do it made them want me even more.
Yeah, exactly. We
but
need this guy.
That's hindsight, yeah.
Yeah. So the building side of things and architecture, is that always what you wanted to do when you were younger?
Sure.
Or was there any other careers that you wanted to do?
Growing up, 1976 when I left school, a lot of people watching this, I imagine, weren't born then, but back in those days when you lived in the suburbs, as we do, there wasn't as much opportunity then as there is now. I probably had the choice of being in the motor industry because one uncle was a mechanic, or in the building industry because one uncle was a carpenter, and I took the carpenter, and my dad had taught us, my mum and dad both taught us all that whatever you do well. Take great pride in it. So if you do take pride in something and you do your very best, you become good at it. If you become good at it, you make money at it. And if all those things are in line, you're generally pretty happy. So that was my start.
That's great. It seems like you're very passionate about it, so you might as well live your passion.
I think everything you do should be passionate about. Everything.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you sort of, it's like you put a seed in the ground and don't water it. You might as well not put the seed in the ground.
That's true. Oh my god, I've never thought of it that way.
Really?
That's good. I can remember that one. Okay. But yeah, otherwise you're just drifting through life.
That's
it's
it.
Just
yeah.
hating what you do.
Well, if you're
How's
drifting,
that?
you're not passionate. If you're not passionate, you can't believe in it. If you don't believe in it, you're probably not going to be happy with it.
Yeah, and how's that a way to live, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
So how did you end up going to the living room?
Living room.
From the renovators.
Obviously, I had a good character, me. I related to a lot of people. A lot of the people that watch TV are from the suburbs, and they believe that you can get to a better place. That's sort of what I project. And I was incredibly lucky. Little did I know the renovators wasn't going to go any further than the first year. But Channel 10 was working on a show called The Living Room. They had in place Chris Brown and Amanda Keller. Now, I was very lucky enough to meet Amanda Keller at a Channel 10 party. And from the second we started talking, we didn't stop talking.
Yep.
I don't think we've ever stopped talking since that night.
She's a wonderful woman.
She's an incredible woman, and we have similar journeys in some ways. We both went through IVF. We both had lost our mum, and we're both similar ages. I'm a little bit older than her, but we definitely have a couple of souls that came together, no doubt about it. So she made it clear that she'd love to work with me, and I think that's one of the reasons I got on. One of my EPs at Channel 10 was very encouraging that I get on the living room as well. I hadn't met Miguel, none of us had, and when we met, it was an interesting story, the casting, or what do they call it, the screen test. They hired this little room in Bondi, and it was said that we were going to go and just see if we all get along. Well, I met Amanda at the front door as we were walking in, and we had a hug and started chatting. And Chris arrived late, and then Miguel burst into the room. I'd never seen or heard of Miguel.
He so much energy.
Yeah, and you know what? The idea of that is the producers were going to ask us a bunch of questions, and we were going to answer them and respond to each other. Well, it was about an hour and a half into this session, and the producers hadn't got to ask us a question yet because we were so in conversation. And literally, Paul Rudd, the EP of the show, then said, "Listen, we've seen enough. You guys are perfect together." Yeah, and we sort of said, "Yeah, okay. And what about this, Amanda? And Miguel, did you do this?" And it was like, and from there we went across to the icebergs. And I think we spent about another 3 hours together. So
wow.
I think it was set in concrete that day that we were going to be doing that show.
Well, for a show called The Living Room, you want it to be that casual conversation anyway.
It was, and then I think the living room's morphed a bit. I think we as personalities, I mean, we're very different people, but we love each other. There's no doubt about that.
Mesh well together.
We mesh well. And because of that, what do you call it, closeness, the show's been able to go in certain directions that I don't think you could have scripted a show to go in.
No, I wouldn't think so either.
You definitely can't script Miguel.
Yeah, exactly. He is a funny guy. I absolutely love him.
Honestly, one of the nicest human beings I've ever known. He's just got a spirit. Doesn't matter what the situation, how frustrated you could be, how angry you could be, or how whatever you could be. If that guy walks in a room, you're gonna smile, and that's a talent. Not a talent. That's a beautifulness that not everybody has, but he's got it in bucket loads.
Wow.
Yeah, and as I said, Chris Brown to me is like my oldest son. I love the guy. He was pretty close, Chris, because he's so popular, and everybody wants something of Chris. And it took a little bit longer to get as close to Chris as I am now, but we have an incredible bond and an incredible trust. And as I said, outside of my wife, Amanda Keller is one of my favourite women in the world.
Aww, that's so cute.
Yeah, really.
Wow. So you said they picked Amanda and Chris first.
I believe
Miguel came in later?
And Miguel and I think, were the ring-ins, yeah. And I think that's another.
Test?
I think that's another reason it works. Amanda and Chris are such TV talent. Those two people can do anything. I mean, you don't really. They can sing, they can dance, they can act, they can present, they can interview. I mean, they're incredible human beings, incredibly talented people. And then there's Miguel and I, who are, and I've got to be careful what I say, we're true experts at what we do. You know, I have a great knowledge of design and the philosophy of architecture, as well as the building skills that go with that. And Miguel is a culinary expert that's worked all over the world. Yep. I mean, a lot of chefs, a lot of TV experts are TV people that become experts. And I think that's the balance with us, is we're experts that teamed up with a couple of TV experts and meshed into an amazing show.
Just totally made it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's your favourite part about being on the show?
Definitely the living room. Definitely the studio. We come together in that studio. It's shot to a live audience. Want to wait for the mower to go past? Having a mowing expert. But, Jamie Jury.
Yeah.
But,
oh my God, it is. How funny would that be?
Shall I continue?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the studio. I love being out in the field and testing myself out there. But honestly, we come together in the live studio. We do 2 shows every fortnight, and honestly, when we have a holiday break, which is only 4 or 5 weeks at Christmas, we are all busting to get back in the studio. We all hug. We hug, and I
like
can't
a family.
wait. I can't wait to hear what Chris has been up to, what Miguel's doing. You know, and in saying that, we ring each other every day.
Oh.
You know, so
but more adorable.
When we come together, it's fantastic, and I love that. I love seeing Miguel's segments. I don't like cooking. I'm not into cooking at all, but I love
very entertaining,
watching Miguel cook. The passion that goes with it is incredible. I live my life, my travel life now through the eyes of Chris, you know,
Aww.
and Amanda Keller. To be lucky enough to sit beside her anywhere is an amazing thing.
Exactly, and she's an amazing presenter. Like, I've looked up to her for years as well.
Yeah.
So what an incredible woman.
To me, she's the most talented woman on TV.
Absolutely.
Without doubt. Yeah.
And radio as well.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
That goes without saying.
Exactly.
Ratings tell you that. But,
That's very true, actually. Yeah. And you guys just won a Logie as well.
We won last year.
How'd
We
that
won the
feel?
Logie. Well, again, if you can imagine that you've been a part of building something with a couple of people that mean more to you than most things in life, and then you achieve an award for that. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, you put a lot of work into it.
I've won plenty of things as a sportsman, as an individual, but to be with three other very different people, and a huge team behind that as well, as you would know. There's a huge team behind the living room.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so many different lives and so many different journeys there. It's incredible. But to be rewarded with a Logie for that, it was one of the times I screamed with happiness. And I don't do that a lot these days. And I don't know if you've ever seen that footage, but we all just literally jump out of our chairs. Miguel didn't land for several minutes after the rest of us, and we just all hugged and cuddled all the way to the stage.
Oh, yeah. Well, Miguel's been on the show and he couldn't not stop talking about that moment. It
He's
was
a
like
classic.
Incredible.
Yeah. He jumped on my back. I carried him about half the way because he just wanted to hit that in. You know, that's how close we are. What a great place to be. That's a gift.
Yeah.
This whole journey is a gift as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. And it makes your job just so much more fun as well.
Yeah.
Because you're with your family.
I'm
second family.
I'm very lucky in the sense, and this is something I always try and tell people. I've never really done anything that I haven't enjoyed. If you're not enjoying it, you won't do it well. So you're best to look for something else.
Yeah.
So
Positive outlook on life.
You've got to have that.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, thanks for sharing that with us.
Very good.
Now, a few years ago, you were battling cancer.
Yeah.
So how was your experience with that? Did you have to, pretty much rearrange your life, reevaluate where you stand and make some changes?
I don't know. No, I wouldn't say I reevaluated. In my life, I've always had a pretty philosophical view on life.
That's good.
Positive view on life. Even when I was depressed, and we touched on that. I mean, it took me about 2 years to get to my worst, and it took me about 2.5 years to get out of that. So nothing happens overnight, and I think I'd pretty well reevaluated if I was going to reevaluate anything at that stage of my life. But getting back to the cancer, everybody's heard my story there. It's an interesting one. I was surfing with my brother and my nephew, and I went under a right-hander there at Christmas. I think it was 2011, and heard this terrific crack in my neck, and just instant pain. My head was full of pins and needles, and me being me, and I'm retired at this stage. You know, all I want to do is get back to my boat. Well, in actual fact, my wife and I had gone through a stack of IVF, but that had ended with her getting cervical cancer, and now we'd been through the adoption trial and we're on the surrogacy trial. So I'd been to India, I think 3 or 4 times. 4 times I'd been, and I was going to be going to India again for our 5th attempt in March. And I heard this big crack, and I've had a few back injuries in my life. I broke my back also in 1999.
Wow.
So I'm used to pain. Pain doesn't, I don't let it get on top of me. But that,
so did you think it was normal?
No, well, yeah, strangely enough, I did. In actual fact, what had happened there, I had a giant tumour in the top of my spine, the base of my skull, and it had actually eaten my whole C1 vertebrae. So my C1 vertebrae had just collapsed completely. And what that meant was I'd lost the structural connection between my head and my spine.
Wow.
The only thing holding my head on was muscle, which is how I survived that, I'll never know.
Jeez.
But I just kept putting that off and having acupuncture and having massages and stuff for a couple of months. And then I was about to go to India, and to have our 5th attempt at surrogacy. And I just couldn't stand it. And my physiotherapist said, I want you to get an MRI So I went in and had the MRI the day before I left to India. And then for the trip to India on the plane, and then the hustle and bustle of Mumbai, which was incredible, the pain in my head just became unbearable. And I may have ignored it before, but when the day I got back from India, it's coming up to an anniversary actually. I think it was about the 10th of March. I went to the doctor to get the results. I didn't really want to get the results of the MRI. I wanted to get the MRI and take it out to my physio out at Homebush, out at the Institute of Sport there, because that's where physio was. And it was a pretty. It was something that sometimes I laugh about, sometimes I cry about, but I don't go to the doctors that often. And I had to see the doctor to get my MRI results. And I didn't really want to waste my time with that. I just wanted to get the results and go out to see the physio. And I remember it really clearly. The woman opened up the results. I didn't know this doctor. She just a random doc. She opened it up and she just took this ungodly amount of time to look at me. And she didn't say anything. And
that's the worst, isn't it? Just tell me.
It was. No, because I didn't think there was anything wrong with me.
Yeah.
And she said to me, believe it or not, a tear came out of her eye, and she asked me if I had family. And that really knocked me around. Not that I was scared or anything. I just said, how can she be? This isn't normal. What are you talking about?
Why would you ask that?
Yeah. And she said, you've got a giant tumor, and it's not good. It's she said, I'm gonna. She actually called an ambulance to take me straight to St. Vincent's, and because I'd lost the joint between my head. I'd broken my neck. That's very
dangerous. Yeah.
I insisted on riding my Harley home, which was even crazier. But because I was parked in a zone, I only had a half-hour parking. I said, no, I'll do that. But I tell you, I can remember every second and every hour for weeks after that. There was a lot of pain in that, and more pain for others than myself. But I went through all the chemo and the radiotherapy and major surgery. I had to have my next 4 vertebrae fused together.
Wow.
And a bracket was constructed by Tim Steele to hold my head on. So that life moved really quick there, and it was really wild. But and I remember every second of it. But there's no real time to sort of sit back and say, oh, okay, now I'm going to have to be a good guy for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen like that. You just holding on, and you're just holding on, and you're going for it, and you're trying to calm everybody around you down rather than thinking about changing your life.
Yeah. So is that something you have to manage constantly now?
Yeah, I do.
Or is the cancer completely gone?
No, my cancer's not curable. It's what we call plasmacytoma myeloma, multiple. So I've got other tumours in my body that we monitor on a regular basis, and I've changed my diet up. Back then I was 115 kilos.
Wow.
I was a pretty solid guy, probably had about 10, 15 extra on the middle, but I could handle that, but I enjoyed good food, and I enjoyed sugar and chocolate and stuff like that, and sugar and that sort of thing is terrible for cancer, so I sort of eliminate sugar out of my diet, and or do my best to.
Yeah.
And try and stay as fit as I possibly can.
That's good. Wow. Yeah. And I did read that you described this cancer battle as like the most beautiful time in your life.
I think that's a misquote.
How come?
No, I don't think I said that.
God damn media.
No, I mean, I think life is beautiful, and other people have said that to me, so I'll explain it. When someone says, how is life? I said, my life is beautiful, and my life is amazing, every second of it. As I say, your life is a sum of every day added up, and I think when I was asked that question, I'd only just had my children, and as I said, if I didn't have every day in my life, I wouldn't have my 2 children.
Yeah.
And you can't be luckier than that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you have any advice for the listeners who might be going through the same thing, or families going through the same thing?
If you go, I mean, everybody rides their own bike on life. No one can grab your handlebars and steer for you, that's for sure. But I think that you have to, I am a positive person. I think positivity gave me a lot of hope, and I think a lot of hope gives you a lot of distance. And I think it also keeps the people around you more up. So positivity is a good thing. Diet and preparing. We should all prepare ourselves as best we can for anything.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Simple advice.
Simple
I love
advice,
it.
yeah. And believe, and you know, I think self-belief is a big thing as well. You know, I do believe if you believe you're going to be as healthy as you possibly can, you probably will be.
Yeah.
But it's the same as the seed, though. You can plant that seed, but you got to water it. Yeah.
Wow. You have been through so much. Like, I cannot believe it. You've had your 2 daughters now, which
A son and a
congratulations.
daughter.
A son and a daughter.
Twins, yeah.
So that is amazing.
It is. That was our
Congratulations.
7th attempt of surrogacy in India.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And I heard like 10 treatments of IVF.
I think it was 13.
Wow.
Failed, yeah.
Jeez.
And unfortunately, I think it was our last attempt at IVF was where we were pregnant with twins and another miscarriage, and through that miscarriage we realised we only had cervical cancer. So that was tougher.
How do you
hear.
stay positive in times like that? That's a lot going through your life.
Yeah, but they're moments in a life as well. I mean,
Yeah.
the day you hear you got cancer is 1 second. There was a whole.
Yeah.
It was 52 years before that, and there were, you know, as far as I'm concerned, plenty more to come after that. I'm not going to wallow on anything.
Yeah.
Never.
Exactly. Wow. Good. I like the positive outlook on life.
Excellent.
You might as well learn from these experiences, right?
Yeah, well, we should. Yeah.
So then you can help others.
I always say I got 2 philosophies in life. I've never made a mistake in my life. There's just a stack of things I'm not going to do again. And the other
that.
And the other one is everything I do, I can do 10% better. You know, I remember the first friend I ever had, we broke up with. I just cried and cried and cried and cried. I broke up with her. And then when I wanted to get back, I just cried and cried and cried, broke my heart. You know, like, well, don't be a dick again next time.
Yeah, you've learnt your lesson. You know?
If you don't learn from that, it is a mistake. If you break up and cry every time, it's a mistake, you know. And literally, that girlfriend included, everyone I ever had since is still my friend.
Oh, that's
You know?
a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Because you learn from the mistakes you made. Yeah, I was a dick to that girl.
Exactly. So don't do it next
time.
time.
So she did the right thing and, you know, moved on and broke my heart. And we talk about it often, quite frankly. It's,
good conversations to have, you know, over lunch.
Well, it's good when someone says to you, no, you're a dick of a boyfriend, but I love you more than anything now.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
you're a good friend.
Well, because you change, you bettered yourself from learning from your mistakes.
Yeah.
And then they're not mistakes, are they? They're just learning tools.
Exactly. That's so beautiful.
There you go.
I love this. It's great. Now, even though you've already achieved so much in your career, what else can we expect from you in the future?
That's funny. You achieved so much in your career.
Well, I think you have. I don't-
We all.
You might think otherwise.
We've all got amazing lives.
Yes,
it's just
that's very true.
the fundamental difference with me, I think, is that I recognise every part of my life. I'm known for telling stories from 30, 40 years ago. Because I've enjoyed every part of it. And, so yeah, that's a success. What's into the future? For me, it's all about family. And I learned a couple of things from my mum and dad: integrity, strength, honesty, and good work ethic. I think having children has taught me that that's a full-time job, passing that legacy on. But I'm going to work with my wife very hard to see that my children have those ethics. And I think it's a tough world we're going into. I think everything from the social aspects of life, drugs, and diet, everything about life is becoming it's difficult. And there's so many. When I was a kid, there wasn't a lot to choose from. For you, there's so much to choose from.
So many opportunities.
So that's why now integrity, honesty, work ethic, self-belief is so important, because all these things can waver us, and you've got to steer a good course. So I think it's a full-time job to teach kids that, and
exactly.
And that's what I want to do. I believe heavily in sustainability. From that point of view, I'm keen. I've got a little project in the making at the moment regarding the education department and sustainability and the structures in which we're taught in the classroom.
Yes.
I've got a project that I'd like to see happen on that. Plenty more about that later.
Ooh. Stay tuned.
And of course, I would love to be on the living room couch as long as I can sit next to Amanda Keller and have my two close friends on the other couch. I'll be happy. And I'll keep striving to come up with new little reno ideas and DIY design ideas that people can bring into their life. I really focus on the show in teaching people to be themselves and express themselves, not chase other people's ideas.
Yes.
There's a lot of that on TV is trying to be someone else. And
why do that?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Be yourself.
Be yourself, exactly.
Yeah, well, that's great. And do you have any advice for the listeners who might want to become just like you, whether that's on TV, or like something like The Living Room, or a builder? Or
It doesn't matter what you want to do in life. I'll say the same advice, and it's just what we just finished on then. Be yourself. Everybody else is taken. It's as simple as that.
Quote.
Yeah,
so good.
If you be yourself, you can believe in yourself, you can trust yourself, and you can back yourself, you'll probably do pretty well. And in fact, if you know who you are and you believe who you are, and you go forward, whatever you achieve, you'll achieve at its height. If you try and be a carbon copy of someone else, you can never know what they're going to do next, so you can never trust yourself to do the right thing. You'll never have the confidence that it takes to be a winner.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
to achieve. Yeah, you can only achieve your own dreams, no one else's.
Wow. You should be a motivational speaker, don't you think? Like, this is so wonderful. You make me really motivated right now.
Oh, you're very kind to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we are getting to the end of the show, unfortunately.
Oh, great.
It's gone very quickly.
I've enjoyed it.
Pleasure talking to you. But as a closing statement, and was probably the most important question, a bit more serious now, even though it's been serious the whole time. Knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 14-year-old self?
Knowing what I know now.
It's a deep question, I know.
It is. At 14, I'd learnt that work ethic was very important. You needed to be honest and have integrity. I think I've lived my life off that, and I would just reinforce that. I would say to myself if anything, I guess what you're asking is what would I change about my life? I was a strong guy. I was going to say this. I was a really powerful guy, strong guy. I'd made good money, but things that I couldn't control were stressing me out. My wife's health and having children, my mum's cancer and dying, and I would encourage myself to talk about those things before they became a darkness in my mind.
Yeah.
Because a depression that I went into was the hardest experience I've ever had. In saying that, I believe that you're a sum of every day of your life. And I think with my beautiful wife and my 2 children and the life I sit here enjoying with you right now is a pretty good sum.
Yes.
That depression was probably part of that sum. So don't sweat the small stuff is all I can really say to anybody else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change anything about my life because I'm happy with who I am.
Yeah, maybe you needed to go through that depression.
We all have ups and downs. But I believe in myself. When I'm down and when I'm up, I'll get somewhere, and so I don't think I would change too much. My advice to a 14-year-old guy I wonder who I would be if I had asked those questions and not got depressed and spent 3 years sailing with my dad before he died. I wonder who I'd be. I'm happy with who I am.
Yeah. I think everything happens for a reason, as we said at the beginning. So your life is a pure example of that, I think.
Yeah. Don't be. I will say this: if anybody takes anything from what I say, don't be backward in expressing who you are. But again, don't try and be a carbon copy of someone else. You're a beautiful person.
Oh, yes, you are a beautiful person. Now, before we go, if the listeners would like to contact you or find out what you're up to, where should they go? On
my Facebook page, Barry DuBois. There's 2. There's a personal one that I don't know why I got into that personal Facebook thing. It does my head in. But I love getting questions on my Facebook page, and I answer as many as I can.
Yeah,
I'm on Twitter.
How we got in contact. So
exactly.
He answers.
Twitter is Baz_DuBois, and it's the same for Instagram.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Easy to find. You're on everything.
We're all reasonably interactive with the Living Room Facebook as well.
Yeah.
On Friday nights, I'm on there as much as possible, answering questions about our projects, and but
That's fantastic.
If there's a will, there's a way. You'll find me if you need me.
Exactly. Go
You
contact
found me.
him. Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show
Been a
today,
pleasure.
Barry. It's
Thank you
been
very much.
amazing. Like, it's been incredible hearing about your life. Like, everybody has a story, and I love finding those
Everybody
stories
does
out.
have a story, and they're generally good ones. Just it's up to you how you look at it.
Oh, we love this guy. We'll definitely love to have you on again in the future.
Let's
We'll
look at
keep in contact.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
make
much.
it happen. No
Take
problem.
care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. And for everyone watching, make sure you check out Barry on the living room. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.